freedom, at least people that'll fight. So they're on the gatesofvienna.org. That's another leading counter-jihad website, Gates of Vienna, as in the defense against Islam in the 1600s.
That's when they put the walls up in Rome, yeah.
Yeah, there's a GoFundMe site on Gates of Vienna for Ed Klein. He's trying to get money together in a hurry because he's being evicted because he's on the ISIS kill list. Can you imagine? So if people go to Gates of Vienna, they can maybe chuck a...
Yeah, we should get Mr. Klein on. I mean, look, the crazy thing is how the radical Islamicists, which is Islam, have gotten the media and everybody to totally come in against American freedom. But in Europe, they're arresting Germans and people by the thousands that just say anything. We got video of them ticketing people for handing out flyers. I mean, the left is the most hateful anti-freedom group. They're spinning the killing of these gays and blaming gun owners, folks, and loving their little jihadis. Back in 70 seconds. Well, I was never in the military, but I've sworn a public oath to fight all enemies, foreign and domestic, because I'm an American and my family lives here. My family's been here since the start of this country. And America isn't perfect, but its ideas are the greatest we've ever seen. And there are so many people that simply hate basic liberty and basic freedom, and they've organized a clash of civilizations. I realize a lot of bad things have been done to folks in the Middle East. It's been done to actually help Saudi Arabia take out its enemies like Iraq, Syria, and others. And our government has been bought off by the bad guys. I mean, hell, a lot of movies don't get produced or don't get released because they got to get approved now at the big movie houses, at the big production companies by the communist Chinese. They're censoring more than the Muslims. I mean, this is really crazy how we have no political immune system. Now, I want to start going to some phone calls. This is a short segment, long segment coming up with our guests, and Joe Biggs is going to be popping in as well for the balance of the hour, but we'll all ride shotgun together for a while. But we've got Mr. Bracken, the former Navy SEAL, here with us as well, and we're going over a lot of other news. But I want to start going to some of your phone calls. But I think what he was getting at is really important. People are getting kicked out of their homes if they're on the ISIS hit list. That's thousands and thousands of people. Tim Kennedy's on the list. People are losing their jobs. The cowards go, oh my gosh, I need to remove support from you and grovel to Islam. Islam went and hit the people. This guy was a Democrat, the shooter. This guy, but he went and chose the people he knew were weak, where he could kill the most. And I've been told that by the criminologists, the people that study people that follow Orthodox Islam. And they say that they actually respect people that know what they're doing and know they're lying and know their plan. That they're actually kind of bullied by their own cult. It's the people that grovel to them that they want to kill the most. Have you found that, Mr. Bracken? We've lost his audio. Hold on. Go ahead and start over. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, there's an old saying that the Muslims, the Islamists, however you want to put it, depending on the era of political correctness, that they're either at your feet or at your throat. They do respect strength. Islam has advanced for 1,400 years. It's often defeated cultures that were smarter, that were braver, that were more technologically advanced, but they learn how to defeat the weak points, how to break a society, how to use political correctness, whatever era, how to divide and conquer.
Deception and long game.
And bribery. They'll use bribery. They'll bribe the mayor of the city to open the gates with that. Just as you said in the Iraqi context, there'll be a helicopter waiting and a suitcase full of $100 bills. That's been an Islamic technique forever. So when I see these bureaucrats like Merkel, who knows what they've been promised? And secular atheists who believe in nothing will have no problem repeating the Shahada, the little ditty about Muhammad, the only messenger. What's the difference? If you don't believe in God, it's just sort of like saying, voodoo, boogie, boogoo, and I get to live and be rich? Fine. Now, your kids don't know that dad was just a sellout traitor, like some generals. Your kids won't know that because they'll be raised in a madrasa school. They'll be brainwashed, rocking, reciting the Quran. But the traitors, they know it, but they'll do it for the money. And this is an MO that goes back 1,400 years.
Well, I tried to stop the clash of civilization in my own little way, and now it's on. Now it's on. The globalists are flooding us with this. They've got a plan. They mean for us to capitulate, run up white flags when we're having 5, 10, 15 attacks a week. Let me ask you this question. We're going to break and going right to calls. at its metric level, doubling each year roughly, how bad will it get with the numbers we're talking about? An attack every day, an attack every week? An attack?
No, I don't look at this in a arithmetic type of escalation. I think it's going to go algorithmic, because eventually they're going to find some of our weaker spots where massive leverage will happen. For example, that Metcalf grid attack. You do 20 Metcalf station attacks and take our grid down, it's game over.
Wow. Yeah, so you're talking about them trying to take out the transformers and massive power outages. Well, they'll just blame gun owners if it happens. I mean, that's all the left cares about. It's a mountain in our head. Look, I know what's going on. The global social engineers need to destabilize the West to bring it down to end nation states. That's what our guest concurred earlier. And they think they're going to be able to manage Islam and make us conform to it, and then use that to end free speech and bring in all the hate speech and restrict our guns. That's what Hillary's now doing. That's what they've already done in Europe with these civil emergencies they put in place. Joe Biggs is getting set up. We're going to go to him on the ground in Orlando in just a moment. I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com. Our guest site is enemiesforeignanddomestic.com. Matt Bracken, former Navy SEAL, best-selling author. Of course, we had Tim Kennedy on in studio yesterday. Talk about an expert on terrorism. He is the expert. Everybody's like, oh, that's the UFC fighter, former Special Forces. No, not former, folks. That guy's working all the time. I'll just leave it at that. But 6 cities set to get hit. And we're just going to hear it's hate crime, hate crime, hate crime, hate crime. Well, of course it's a hate crime, but that's what Islam does. In 11 countries, they kill people because they're homosexuals. All the left cares about is that I use the word gay and that you control the language. You don't care if you're actually getting killed. So that just makes you more of a cause celeb, unless you're the one actually getting bullets shot into you. But I want to go ahead and go to some phone calls, and we're going to go to Biggs here, and we're going to have Mr. Bracken riding shotgun with us, giving us commentary throughout the hour. And then we have coming up David Knight hosting the 4th hour. Leanne McAdoo is going to be with us as well. And we're going to have more special reports and a bunch of these clips. But right now, let's go ahead and go to who's up first here. Let's go ahead and talk to Alex in New York. You're on the air, Alex. Welcome.
Hello, sir.
Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Okay, go ahead.
If I may, I want to back a little bit in the history to explain the situation that can happen here.
Okay, we got to go quick through these calls. Go ahead.
Quick. After World War II, in Russia and Soviet Union was millions unregistered guns, which is our government tried to take, of course. So scenario was they just tried to use NKVD to take the guns, but it was not enough power. What they did it was very big shortage on food. So offer of the government was, we give you food if you give up your guns or you tell who had the guns. That's what they can do here. EBT cards already in a big hole. It can be used too.
Well, sir, unfortunately, I'm having trouble making out everything you're saying, but I think you're saying that you've been in countries, and I believe you said Russia, where once they had a bunch of people come in and start terror attacks, they were able to take the guns, or because I didn't even know Russians could really have guns before that unless they were in rural areas and had special licenses. Is that what you're getting at?
No, not exactly. After World War II, it was millions of guns on the civilian hands.
Yes.
Millions. And the government tried to take them back somehow, some way, and KVD tried to do power way, but it wasn't work. So offer was to the civilians, give up your guns, we give you food, because in this time it was very, very big shortage on the food after World War II.
And I believe the economic collapse is the ace in the hole that they'll use to get everybody domesticated for social engineering. You get your food, you get your job now in a command and control economy when you submit. That's why it's so important for all patriots to have a garden, to have shareable food, to have firearms, to have a bug out pack, and to have friends you can count on to come together during a collapse, because clearly the system's been organizing an incremental collapse. That's a great point. Matt Bracken, of course, this is something you've talked a lot about. They're really pushing to make us as much hand-to-mouth as they can.
This is absolutely true what he said. It happened after World War I, which, of course, for Russia was 1917 when Lenin came back. They also did that with guns turning in. After World War II, many Russian soldiers, Ivans, came home. There was weapons all over the place. And they used starvation as a tool for leverage. You know, To get into the camp where you'll be saved from starvation, you have to turn in your weapons. When people often say, Matt, how do you know the future? You know, like you have a crystal ball or something. And I've thought about this a lot, and I don't have a crystal ball. What I do is I study history, and it's like a great big wheel with treads around the wheel. And so you look at the ground, and you can see the tread patterns that came before. Well, you can easily predict what the tread pattern is going to look like because it's just a wheel coming back down.
And we're headed,
what he
though,
said about
with
the Soviet Union was exactly true.
Exactly. Thank you, caller. Great points, Alex in New York. But because of all the high technology, the population density, cultural events, domestication of the population, everything we've been through before, I believe, is going to be amplified, augmented, and be 3 or 4 times, 10 times worse with economic collapse, cultural degeneration, the Islamic mix into the middle of it, just all the basic craziness, the increases of mental illness. I mean, you look at every metric, society is degenerating.
Yeah, at a worst case scenario would be my short story called Alas, Brave New Babylon. But I think in the intermediate, you're going to see something similar to my short story called What I Saw at the Coup. Because I do believe that they will try for a gun grab using a pretext of economic collapse, whether or not they're going to help engineer the collapse or just allow the conditions to metastasize with, bringing in people that they know are jihadists or a percentage. I mean, how many does it take? It's like a jar of candy. If you said, look, most of the candy in this jar is perfectly safe. Maybe 1%, maybe 10% is poison. It's going to kill you. But you have to eat it. Otherwise, you're a hater. This is literally the situation we're being
It's like saying, hey, there's only 1 bullet in the cylinder, but there's 6, overall cylinders. You've only got a 1 in 6 chances of blowing your head off.
You have to try it. You have to play Russian roulette. Well, the thing is, yeah, there's a lot of worse conditions on one side, but believe me, there are patriots that are as patriotic as anybody from Valley Forge till now, and we are armed better than ever. There's never in history been a country with tens of millions of scoped rifles that can hit easily, standing offhand, 400-yard targets, and with a rest, 1,000 yards. There are millions. So something that these traders that think that they can just put millions of dollars from the Saudi government in their pocket, laundered through hedge funds, and they're just going to live in Aspen at the George Soros farm and live peacefully and happily ever after as the
ain't gonna happen.
It ain't gonna happen.
Especially when they admit they have plans in the new Army manuals for domestic re-education camps for patriots. They actually say re-education camps. Don't you guys get it's a two-way street? They take our restraint as weakness. We've been affecting the battle space, the info war, raising the alarms, preparing the people. We're not flat-footed. And so they need to understand that we're identifying them, we're exposing their agenda, and they're still carrying out the agenda like we aren't there exposing it and sabotaging it. They're crazy.
People should read my short story, What I Saw at the Coup, from the point of view of somebody who is on the unsuccessful end of an anti-constitutional putsch, because we have plenty of arrows in our quiver.
I was talking to Tim Kennedy. He said 95% of the Special Forces people that are active duty are fully awake.
Fully.
And I asked him why, and he goes, well, the training we've been given, and he talked about it on air. They're training them to take over governorships, take over the states, arrest patriots, take guns, and arrest,
It won't work. There aren't enough. There aren't enough.
Well, didn't they know it would wake up the Special Forces people when they're openly training to basically come arrest Governor Abbott?
At the very top, I think that we're talking about fully satanic evil forces. Below that, they might think, oh, yeah, we're going to fill in the blank of your favorite outcome, Sharia law in America, progressive leftist socialism, communism. But at the very top, I think they just want to see it burn.
That's it. That's it. They want to just blow it up. That's their real plan. That's their goal is chaos for chaos' sake. I want to go back to Diane, Marguerite, Robert, Chad West, and others. But right now, let's go to Joe Biggs on the ground outside the Pulse nightclub, or what's left of it, where 49 people were killed. Joe Biggs, I know a lot of development since you were last on with us. You're on the trail with some investigative journalists on some things that folks aren't aware of, but a lot of information coming out. His brother-in-law, Joe Biggs, is one of Obama's people bringing in the refugees. He was working in Homeland Security, and Hillary and Obama ordered the stand down of the FBI in 2 different investigations of this guy. This is incredible. What do you think's going on here, Joe Biggs?
Well, it's an interesting thing, Alex. I was actually speaking with Rob Jacobson last night, and I said, This man's father looks like he was from a Pashtun area, a tribal region in Afghanistan. And sure enough, comes out today, this guy is a Taliban sympathizer. He speaks